Hello and welcome to the 9 Steps to Feng Shui introductory course. My name is Moni and I am a Feng Shui advisor. I'm founder of Feng Shui for Us and the developer of the 9 Steps to Feng Shui system. So what you're seeing here, you're looking at my logo on the top, and this logo was designed to also be an educational tool. This logo shows you what an ideal business entrance in Feng Shui looks like. A very important door with something rounded about it, sufficient light on both sides, two plants, one on each side of the entrance, and a main door that is a little bit elevated from the ground floor, a generous welcome mat, some kind of overhead protection, and at the bottom, you can see the 9 Steps to Feng Shui system logo and with the word security, harmony, power. You see here there are 3 sets of steps, and 3 sets of steps add up to 9. So the first 3 steps are the ones that have to do with creating a feeling of security in your home. The next 3 steps have to do with creating harmony in your home, and the next 3 steps are the ones that deal with power, or being in control of your space, having power over what happens in your life and over what happens in your space. And so those are the the keywords: security, harmony, and power, to get to good feng shui and a balanced life. So as you can see, this sort of forms the shape of a pyramid, and it also shows you that by each step getting a little bit narrower than the one before, it also shows you that this is a synergistic program and that every step makes the next step a little bit easier. So in this introductory course, we're going to go over the meaning of Feng Shui, the definition of Feng Shui, how Feng Shui got started, and what are the functions of Feng Shui today. Definition of Feng Shui. Feng Shui is the ancient Chinese art of space arrangement that uses universal principles and the laws of nature to determine how to organize your environment in order to be happy, healthy, prosperous, and free. Feng Shui draws knowledge from nature and universal laws in order to produce environments that promote wealth, health, love, and happiness. Feng Shui proposes arranging the space in order to reproduce the signs of nature that we recognize as life-nurturing and safe. This provides us with positive feedback about our lives. Feng Shui can help you create a home or work environment where you can feel safe, in greater harmony with your surroundings, and in greater control of your space. Feel more relaxed, have better relationships, be more productive. Feng Shui means wind and water. Feng means wind and Shui means water. Now the pronunciation of Feng Shui can vary. Feng rhymes with sung and Shui rhymes with sui in the way that has become the standard pronunciation of this art in the United States. Now in different provinces of China, depending on their dialect, you might find that the pronunciation is a little bit different. Some people in the West, they say Feng Shui, and in Spanish, in the country I come from, in Ecuador, people say Feng Shui. But the standard pronunciation for the art in the United States is Feng Shui. So remember, Feng rhymes with sung, and Shui rhymes with sui. Now, if you think about it, wind and water are the forces that shape the world. And if you were in a sailboat, the 2 forces that move you would be the water currents and the wind. In Feng Shui, we believe that Qi, or the life force, is carried by the wind or moves by the wind, or you can also invert it and say that Qi moves the wind, but in any case they go together. So wherever there's wind, there's movement of Qi, and whenever Qi meets water, it stops by the water. And this is one reason that it is believed that Qi collects by the water in great quantities, and why it is considered that having a property facing the water is very auspicious. The word auspicious is very often used in Feng Shui, and it means being of good omen. So if your life was a sailboat and the universal currents And the natural currents would be considered the wind and the water. The wind is also often referenced to the subtle energies that move things in the universe and in the world. And water is also related to action in the physical planet, in the earth level. So these are the forces that move you, but you don't want your life to be like a sailboat that is just being moved wherever the winds take it or wherever the water currents take it. So Feng Shui would be the sails in the sailboat, whereas if you can, because if you have learned to use the sails in a sailboat, then you are able to direct your boat, your life, the life that is symbolically represented by this boat. Even when the wind is going in the direction opposite that what you want to go, with a good sail system and enough knowledge of sailing, you can make that boat go in the direction that you want to go. And for example, I have seen this happen many times in my practice, that realtors thrive in periods that are really bad for real estate, but realtors who are applying Feng Shui do really well. And I also have had clients who were in the stock market who did remarkably well at times when the stock market was down. So regardless of what is happening in the outside environment, the knowledge of Feng Shui allows you to give your life direction. So the term Feng Shui, wind and water, some people believe that is actually a short way of referring to a poem that was to describe an ideal place for settling. And the poem was, "The winds are mild, the sun is bright, the water is clear, the trees are lush." So over time, people just got to refer to this as wind and water. The wind water became the representation of this ideal place for settling. However, going back to the previous slide, remember that there are very good metaphysical and energetic reasons why wind and water are proper terms to define this art. So in ancient times, Feng Shui was mainly used to find good burial sites, as well as sites for temples and areas where settlements could be built with some warranty that life could thrive there. So imagine a time, before there was a Weather Channel, before there was recorded history, people needed to be able to make an educated guess of whether a place would be good for them to settle or not. The things that Feng Shui consultants would look at is, for example, the shape and the size of rocks. Rocks that were cut very abruptly, that had very angular shapes, could mean that in that area you often have avalanches or there have been earthquakes. And they would also look at the shape of small rocks and stones. If you are in an area that is very dry, but you find lots of rounded stones, this could be an indication that this area has been flooded before, and therefore it could be flooded again. They would also look at the health, the height, and the age of trees, because if you find an area where there's only old vegetation and no new growth, you have to ask the question, what is stunting or what is preventing new growth? And if you are in an area where the trees are only very young, for example, if you can't find any trees that are older than 30 years old, these may be an indication that periodically there's some kind of catastrophe that happens in the place. So Feng Shui consultants would look at all these. They would also look at the direction from when the wind is blowing, the trajectory of the sunshine in the sky from one season to the other. And all these were taken into consideration when making the decision of where to settle and how to orient buildings. So the Feng Shui masters, in addition to looking at a site and make sure that there's not going to be any pending catastrophes, they would also look for things that we need. And the main things that we need for survival are drinking water, fertile soil, protection from winds, edible plants, fish and game, and sunshine. Drinking water, obviously, is something that we need to have of plenty in order to survive. So a good settlement would have to be close enough to the water to make the carrying the water towards the homes and the other buildings, make sure that that wouldn't become a very huge task. But at the same time, you couldn't be too close to the water or too low, at a too low a level compared to the water, because that would increase the risk of flooding. And you would also need fertile soil, because fertile soil is one of the things you look for when you're gonna farm, when you're gonna put your efforts into agriculture. So a fertile soil will yield a better harvest. Protection from winds, like if you live in the United States, there are certain areas in the United States that are infamous for getting tornadoes. And these are areas where there's large territories that are just flat with little or no hills. So that creates the environment where tornadoes can form more easily. But when you get to areas where there's more hills or more mountain ranges, then the chance of tornadoes is greatly reduced. So one of the things that the Feng Shui masters would look for is hills and hill ranges and mountains that would protect them from the winds, and especially from the north winds, which in China brought the coldest winds in the winter. Of course, you want to make sure that in a place that you settle, there's plenty of edible plants, so you can gather nuts and fruit, for example. You also want to make sure that there's plenty of fish and game, and you also want to look for sunshine. There's a direct correlation between our health and sunshine. An area that doesn't get enough sunshine, that is dark, damp, it tends to grow mold. There's a lot of problems that we get with humidity and not enough sun exposure. So one of the main factors that would be considered in finding a place for settlement would be the sunshine. Of course, also the sunshine is what gives the energy to the plants that is in turn transformed into food that then we can consume. So it's extremely important to have sunshine. Today, Feng Shui also deals with the surroundings of a building, its shape and landscaping. And Feng Shui is concerned with creating spaces where happiness becomes more possible and life is easier. Now, contrary to what some Feng Shui practitioners and masters will promise, the practice of Feng Shui is not going to bring you your loved one. It's not going to magically give you more wealth. It's not going to increase your reputation. But it's going to, of its own, but it's going to create an environment where these things are more possible and easier. So if you create an environment where it becomes more believable to you that you could find your soulmate, it becomes more possible for you to find that soulmate and to attract that soulmate. By the same token, if you create an environment where it becomes more believable to you that yes, you could thrive financially, that you could accumulate wealth, which is natural. It is natural to accumulate wealth. It just happens with time. The more we are in a community, the more wealthy we should become. If that is not happening, there are problems. And of course, as we go along with the course, I will tell you more about this. But basically, Feng Shui is concerned with creating an environment where a life of happiness can happen. Feng Shui is concerned with creating an environment where a life of happiness can happen. Now we're going to look at a popular Chinese saying, and it's very interesting because you will find different versions of the same saying. For example, in some versions you will see that it says first destiny, second luck, third Feng Shui, fourth virtues, fifth education. So in some versions you will find that luck is considered to be first and destiny second. In other versions you will find that destiny is first and luck is second. And I'll explain in a little bit why I chose this arrangement. Then third is always Feng Shui. In any version of this saying that you find, Feng Shui is always considered third. For the fourth one, it's sometimes it's called virtues, sometimes it's called philanthropy. And other times it's called, it's related to the idea of karma. And they're always, the last three ones, they're always in the same order. Third, Feng Shui. Fourth, virtues or philanthropy or cause and effect. And fifth is education. I think it's very interesting that Feng Shui is considered more important than virtues and than education. This is just to give you an idea of how important our environment is to determine the quality of our life and why we should pay so much attention to it. But I want to go back to this where it says first luck, second destiny, and the reason I put luck first and then destiny second. Destiny is, in traditional Chinese thought, destiny has to do with the circumstances that were already determined at your moment of birth. For example, when you were born, you already had a gender, you had a nationality, you were born into a culture with certain values and certain beliefs. You may have been born into a particular church or philosophy, and you are born into a particular family that has certain beliefs and a certain position in the society where you lived in, where you were born, or a certain position in the society where you live or where you were born. And so destiny is what is considered to be, destiny is considered to be the thing that can be changed the least because it's sort of predetermined. Now, the way I see destiny is I see destiny as the things that we agreed to before we were born. I want to give you a little bit of an explanation of what the significance or the meaning of these words is in traditional Chinese thought. First of all, in Chinese thought, luck is not equivalent to chance, but rather a more complex phenomenon, the result of the combination of how the universal winds are moving at any particular time and the internal condition of the energy of the person, which would draw him or her to hook either with auspicious of good omen or inauspicious events. Destiny refers to the tendencies with which we were born, for example, the kind of family we were born into, the social circumstances, genetics, country of birth, what kind of opportunities we were presented with in life. Destiny can be steered depending on what you do with what you have been given. So the reason that I have chosen a version of this saying that had first luck and second destiny is because the concept of luck in Chinese wisdom is so powerful in that by being aware of how the universal winds are blowing and at the same time working on keeping your own vibration high, you really can determine the character of your life. You really can become a co-writer in the script of your life. And I had chosen the one that had destiny as the second phrase in the saying because I don't believe that we are determined by destiny as much as we are determined by what we do with our own energy. Feng Shui is a term that relates to the natural conditions of the place where you have chosen to live or work. Not all places on earth promote life per se, and not all places on earth that promote life are adequate for human life. Feng Shui teaches us to surround ourselves with the factors that will promote healthy living. According to traditional Chinese thought, the main virtues are generosity, charity, humility, industriousness or diligence, self-control, discipline, patience, and integrity or decency. I would like to review the main virtues with you. So the main virtues are generosity, charity, humility, industriousness, which is, just being willing to work, self-control or discipline, patience, and integrity, or in other words, ethical behavior or decency. Education is related to the development of skills, learning chores as if they were sacred arts, bringing the sacred into common life. If you would like to learn more or review the information that we have gone over today, please go to my website www.fengshuiforus.com and click on the link where it says Feng Shui University. On that page, remember the page may have changed a little from the time that I recorded this video to the time that you go to the page. But look for Course 1, Basic Feng Shui Concepts and Principles, and click on Introduction to Feng Shui. And here you will find all the information that's on the video in a written format, which you can also print out if you need to. Our next lesson is going to be Form School Feng Shui, so please check out the next video to go over this lesson.